Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Great podcast. We're going to start it off with 15 minutes, my observations on the early games. And boy, do I have strong opinions on this. I've been very critical of defensive coaches not understanding how to help young quarterbacks. Two examples of this today. So there's about $1:55 left. Tie game 28-28. Matt Eberflus, 4th and 1, has the opportunity for Justin Fields to kick a field goal, right? He leads the team down, field goal, take a 31-28 lead on the Broncos. And what would the feeling be? Justin Fields had a good day. Justin Fields got you in scoring position. Justin Fields got you the lead. Regardless, if Denver comes down and wins it, the vibe all week is positive for Justin Fields. Gave you the lead, not his fault if the defense couldn't hold it. Instead, Eberflus, and I don't care what analytics say, decides to go for it instead of at home for a team that hasn't won in forever, instead of kicking a field goal for the lead as a defensive coach and trusting your schemes. Nope. They go for it, fail. Denver goes down, takes a lead. Then you give the ball back to Justin Fields. Very little time left. Hey, kid, go save us. Terrible managing of a young quarterback. I don't care what analytics say. Justin Fields had a good day, showed promise. You had to feel great. He leaves the field. You have a lead. It would just be the way to support a young quarterback. And by the way, if you can take a lead at home and you haven't won in how many games? Do it. Prime example. I don't think Denver's very good. I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton have found a comfort zone. I think they sort of understand now what they are and what they're not. A lot of it's underneath stuff. In the first half, I think Russell was 12 of 13 for 79 yards and 7 first downs. But they've come to an understanding of what each other offers. And that's not the huge issue for this team. They have to, at the trade deadline or probably in the draft, just address the defense and maybe the defensive coordinator. But it was the use of the clock and late game managing which drove me nuts. For the Chicago Bears, protect your young quarterback. So let's talk about a second game. Defensive coach Ron Rivera. It's 31-30. Commanders drive down. Sam Howell. Get within a point. Now remember, in this instance, Philadelphia's got the better roster, had averaged almost 7 yards a play. At that moment, I went online. They'd averaged 6.6 yards a play. It's in Philadelphia. They're huge favorites. You had momentum. Eagles defense has been on the field a while. You get the touchdown. There you go for it. Different circumstance with a young quarterback. Steal a win. Big dog on the road. If you lose and Sam Howell can't deliver, listen, Sam Howell has overachieved at this point. He's not Justin Fields, whose job's on the line. Sam Howell has overachieved. Even if you lose that game, you talk about the guts and the toughness and the willingness to make a play. And Ron Rivera's trusting him, going for it against a Super Bowl team in Philadelphia. Nope. They kick the easy extra point, go to overtime against the better team, and the better team eventually wins. The better quarterback wins. The better O-line and D-line win. So in that instance, you kick the field goal for Justin Fields. The kid needs positive vibes. You're not a good team. Washington's a better team on the road, huge dogs, steal a win in Philadelphia. Now, it's easy in hindsight to say this, but this is what have been one of my knocks, is that how do you handle young quarterbacks? There is a way to do it. And I thought Washington made the wrong call. Chicago made the wrong call. So one of the things I thought about watching Buffalo hammer Miami, and I had a very good early day today. I went 4-0 in my picks, and Buffalo was one of my favorite plays. Dolphins couldn't stop them. And we never thought the Dolphins had a great defense, but it was just, you get into Buffalo, they get some momentum. I've called them the Mike Tyson of the NFL. When they get rolling and punching and swinging and delivering, they are an avalanche. They're coming downhill 100 miles an hour, and Miami found out about it. But, it's really interesting when I watch that game. is that now that we've moved to 17 weeks, GMs and coaches manage the roster differently. Almost no starters are playing in the preseason. So in week 1, Buffalo looked awful. This morning, this afternoon, tonight, they may be the best team in the league. Week 1, the Jets look competent offensively with Zach Wilson. Week 1, the Rams destroyed Seattle. Seattle looked completely over their skis. We now think Seattle playing the Giants tomorrow is pretty good. So week 1, and to some degree week 2, I'm trying to figure out what everybody is because I think GMs and coaches manage rosters differently. And so Buffalo, Aaron Rodgers goes down. It's a very emotional night. They're on the road. It just felt like the Jets' night. Since then, they have dismantled teams. The offense is cooking. They're running the ball more. Josh Allen, not the primary ball carrier as often. And I think Buffalo looks really good. And again, we've seen this from Buffalo. Okay, they are a momentum team. Josh Allen is a momentum player, a power thrower, a power runner. They play with a ton of emotion. Now, it's a defensive head coach. I still think at times the offensive line and run game are inconsistent. But I do think what Miami has been doing, they're a little bit ahead of the league with all the motion, and they had a very good first half. But you just can't keep that up. At some point, players get hurt. You go on the road. You fall behind. It's a different game playing with a lead and trailing. It's a completely different game for a coaching staff and a quarterback in Tua. So now you're behind. Buffalo knows you have to throw. It's at Buffalo. They're getting a pass rush. Tua's not highly mobile. Oh, suddenly they look like everybody else. The way to always beat a great offense. It can be the fastest show on turf. It can be Miami. It doesn't matter who it is. The way to beat a great offense has always been the same. The ability to get a pass rush with 4. Don't have to bring extra people. Don't have to take big risks. You get a pass rush with 4, and it disrupts even Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, fastest show on turf, all the great offenses. And I do believe Miami is going to drop a lot of points on a lot of teams. In fact, I don't know what the line is next week. I would take Miami next week because Buffalo is playing downhill football, and they look like the best team in the National Football League. And now for a new segment called Making It Look Easy, brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Well, this week, Josh Allen made it look easy. 21 of 25, 4 touchdowns against Miami, took a lead, never looked back. Running, throwing, big plays underneath, Josh Allen did it all. Like Morgan & Morgan, he made it look so easy. Morgan & Morgan has over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 attorneys with over $16 billion received for over 300,000 clients. Morgan & Morgan always gets you full compensation and fair compensation. Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people for over 35 years. They know what they're doing at Morgan & Morgan. If you're ever injured, go to forthepeople.com/Colin. That's me, Colin. Or dial pound 529 to check out America's largest injury law firm. Winning in the NFL is hard. But hiring Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, is easy. So I had said during the offseason at one point on the Houston Texans, they were making a lot of solid B moves in free agency, not big swings. CJ Stroud doesn't cost you anything. They're not paying their quarterback, so they could have taken some big swings. They didn't. Solid running back, solid linebacker, solid people in the secondary. They were just really solid acquisitions in free agency. No hype, no big egos, just easy stuff for CJ Stroud to enter into a building, slow growth. And so far, CJ Stroud has been remarkable for a rookie quarterback. Remarkable. A professional, stands in the pocket, delivers strikes, doesn't have nervous feet, has nice mechanics. His comp was Jared Goff, which I know none of you like Jared Goff, but he was a number 1 pick and is the best quarterback in the NFL last 6 years against the spread. CJ Stroud Lance Zierlein, who's a Houston radio host, dad coached in the NFL, works for NFL.com. I rely on him, bring him on the herd often, during the draft season. His comp was Jared Goff. Not going to give you a lot of juice on the outside, but if you can protect him, stands tall, throws a beautiful ball, accurate when not hurried. CJ Stroud's been terrific. And again, Nico Collins had a big game for them. It's different. Bryce Young has nobody to throw to. Nobody separates. Houston did a good job finding receivers in the mid-round, guys that have a little wiggle, a little juice. They've got just enough speed to make you uncomfortable, make Pittsburgh uncomfortable defensively. And the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud, listen, this stuff is so much fun to me. You never know what you get. CJ Stroud at Ohio State walks into every game with a personnel advantage. But I think CJ Stroud reminds me a little of Justin Herbert, where they didn't move much in college until their final game. Herbert against the Badgers at the Rose Bowl, Stroud against the Georgia Bulldogs. And the coach, knowing it was potentially the last game, right, let him run. And then you look at Herbert and you're like, oh, he can move. And you look at CJ Stroud against Georgia and you're like, oh, he can move. It's not who he is. But if CJ Stroud is Jared Goff with better mobility, that's a hell of a quarterback. The only thing I'm surprised at, because I thought the comp, I said it multiple times, I thought it was a reasonable comp, is that he was this good this early. He looks very composed. Got to give the coaching staff credit. DeMeco Ryans was the DC at San Francisco, beloved in the building. Heartbroken when he left. They knew he was going to get a head coaching job. He's been terrific. But again, CJ Stroud, no egos to deal with, rookie coach and coordinator. They're all in it together, putting them in situations to succeed. And they've done this with all sorts of offensive line injuries. So the Texans hammer the Steelers. I'll hammer the Steelers later this week. But I thought the story, the positive vibes on the Texans, managing expectations. Stroud, big kid, sits in the pocket and delivers strikes. The Goff with more mobility comp was reasonable. Didn't think he'd be this good this early. It's been fantastic. Really, really good early window. A lot of fun. Okay, I went 4-0 in my picks. That made it more fun. 0-5 to start the year, 4-0 today. Cross my fingers. I'm going to go watch the Cowboys and the Patriots. Good stuff. A lot of football left.